Welcome back to the Zero E Michigan podcast. We have with us today again Professor Paul Pancella. First of all, I'm Carl Bloss, and I have with me my co-host
Larry Hudson.
So, Paul, we have a bunch of events coming up. You are the head of KIVA, the Kalamazoo Electric Vehicle Association,
And don't forget, you're my vice president if I croak off.
So by overlap, the Southwest Michigan chapter of the Electric Vehicle Association. So I mean, there's a lot of overlap there and with some of our Facebook groups, but yeah, that we always try to get as many people as we can to come to the events. So on the 16th of August, you have your monthly meeting and an EV cruise in at the Gilmore Museum. So tell us about what that is and what to expect.
I'll be happy to do that, Carl. Thanks for having me again. Yeah, the Gilmore Auto Museum, Car Museum in Hickory Corners, Michigan, famous, beautiful campus full of old cars and stuff. Every summer, they do weekly cruise-ins after hours, after the museum closes. And car enthusiasts just swarm onto the grounds and just hang out. And so we barge in on that. We've barged in on that periodically with our electric vehicles, and they seem happy to have us. And this summer, for the first time, we combined it with our monthly meeting a couple times. And we'll do that one more time in 2 days, this coming Wednesday. So what happens is the museum opens their grounds after the barns are closed. Anybody who wants to can come and look at the cars. Anybody who wants to display a car can come onto the grounds starting at 5 p.m. We'll try to locate ourselves a little bit away from the crowd so that even latecomers can come and park near the electric vehicles. But that's not always possible. We can't reserve any space on the grounds, any actual territory. So it's the parking for the show car, the so-called show cars, is first come, first served. But we'll try to move a little farther away from where the big action is. And it's very weather dependent as well. But if you're driving an EV and want to come on and join us, look for the very tall feather flag that the EVA sent us this year, and or look for electric vehicles and park near us. If you can't park near us, then just park somewhere and walk over. If you want to participate, talk to us, whatever. There is food and drink available, but like I said, the actual collection of the museum is not accessible. We'll shoot for having our business meeting at about 6:30 p.m. with whoever can coordinate with us.
Great. Yeah, and for those on the video version, behind me is a picture from one of those past events, and we have right behind me the mustard-colored EV6, also known as Celine Dijon. So, and a bunch of other EVs. I think the F-150 Lightning got a lot of interest when I was there. So, yeah, come on out and check it out. And if you have an EV to display, come out and just hang out and get some ice cream and yeah, walk around and see some of the other cool cars.
Yeah, if the weather's nice, it's a good time. If we're completely rained out, we'll have our monthly meeting at our regular place and location. We've settled on the third Thursday of the month, which we will return to in September at the Travelers Cafe and Pub in Portage. And since
So
it's a Thursday,
if it rains on Wednesday, then we're all
we have a
meeting
meeting
Thursday night.
the next night. Yeah, whoever can make it.
And
For our business meeting.
And what time does it actually start at the
That
Gilmore?
starts at 6:30.
6:30. Okay.
And the park opens at 5, right? For
The grounds open at 5 for the cruise in.
and it's probably, if it's a nice day, it can get busy. I remember sitting in line for 30 minutes to get in, but it's a cool platform. It's like you're in a neighborhood, and one block is just a big thing of grass and all the cool cars on that. We're usually at one end of it, but it's a really great venue. It's really cool.
Yeah. And cars and motorcycles. I saw an old Honda Hawk that was one of my first motorcycles. So there's lots of cool stuff to see. So bring the kids out and check it out. So conflicting with your rain dates, on the 17th, the West Michigan EV Facebook group is having their social event at the Bier distillery in Grand Rapids. And by the way, we're going to have all these details in the show notes, so you don't need to write all this stuff down. We'll have links to everything and times and dates. And that's from 6 to 8 o'clock on the 17th. I think there is supposed to be rain that day. There are Tesla chargers there. So if you have a non-Tesla, bring the adapter if you have it, the Tesla tap or equivalent. And the other thing is, if you're there first, they typically don't turn those chargers on unless somebody asks for them to be turned on. So yeah, we'll be inside. It's 6 to 8 o'clock, open house. Bring bring your vehicle, bring your kids, purchase your own food and drinks, and we just kind of hang out and talk EV and things like that. So we try to do that about once a month. Then the following week, on the 24th, there's an EV show at Irvine's Auto Repair. They are a shop that specializes in repair of hybrids. So they became part of that West Michigan Facebook group and mentioned that they were going to have an EV show on the eve of the 28th Street Metro. So that's on the 24th. And then speaking of that, the 25th and 26th is the 28th Street Metro Cruise at Woodland Mall and what's the other one? Rogers Plaza. The original was at Rogers Plaza on 28th Street in Grand Rapids, and then they've expanded to the Woodland Mall. Consumers Energy is going to have a 20 by 60 booth at the Woodland Mall site. So I'm going to set up a booth there with some EV information. So if you're new to it, I'm going to have some information to hand out about also home charging and rebates and all that kind of good stuff. But anybody who has an EV is welcome to come along. We've managed to sandwich a bunch of EVs into that space and just, again, talk EVs and, pop the frunk and just see what it's all about.
What time?
I'm going to have to look that up. And it's, it's a Friday night and a Saturday. So I seem to recall that it's like afternoon, evening on the Friday night, and then it'll be from like
All day
on
on
the
Saturday?
Saturday. Yeah, but if you Google 28th Street Metro Cruise, you'll find those times, and then again I'll have those in the show notes.
When you say Metro Cruise, it's not actually, we're not driving anywhere. We meet there and hang out.
Yeah, that's just the name of the event. I mean, there are always cars cruising up and down 28th Street, right? So
Okay.
that's just the name of the event. Most people display their classic vehicles. Again, at Rogers Plaza, that was kind of the original location, but they outgrew that. So now some of the big events and the event stages are also going to be at the Woodland Mall, which is also 28th Street. All right, and then we're going to dive into National Drive Electric Week. Paul, maybe do you want to give us a little intro about what's National Drive Electric Week and who Plug-in America is, and what is this all about?
National Drive Electric Week evolved from National Plug-in Day about 8 years ago or so now. It's an annual celebration of electric vehicles with events all over the country. And Plug-in America coordinates that for us and gives us sort of a uniform look, but they also give us a lot of freedom as to what individual events are like during the week. We will locally open up National Drive Electric Week this year by participating in the end of Tech Week in Hastings, Michigan. The Berry County Chamber of Commerce is organizing a technology week in and around Hastings, not too far from here. And so that starts early in the week before National Drive Electric Week starts.
It's the 22nd, I think. Is it 5 to 7:30, right? It's an evening event. Is that right?
On Friday, we will have an evening, a brief talk at the library in the community room, followed by a small EV show in their parking lot for people to touch and feel and talk with owners. Hopefully, I'll get at least 3 or 4 cars there for that. But it's the presentation will start at 5 p.m. in Hastings in the community room. They're doing stuff all day on Friday, including something at the Gilmore. We'll be putting on the 5 p.m. to 7:30 evening portion of the program that day. Open to everybody, combined presentation and EV show.
That's one of the key features of the National Drive Electric Week, that it's mostly organized by volunteers. So this is not a hard sell by companies trying to sell you EVs or cars or goods and services. It's almost strictly volunteers. That doesn't mean we don't occasionally have a vendor that comes out and does ride and drives, but it's a very low pressure environment.
And Consumers Energy will be at the Friday evening event.
Yeah,
as well.
we're going to be there. So I'll have a table at most of these events, Hastings, Kalamazoo, and so forth. But again, it's just information about EVs, how to get into it, how to do home charging, how to find public charging, all that kind of good stuff.
I was just gonna say it's a fun event. There's always interesting vehicles we don't expect showing up. Like one of the BMW, the electric, and then some cool motorcycles. So it seems attractive, a fun bunch of people. So
Yeah, and even people like homebrew e-bikes. I think there's the one guy that's cruising around that made his own e-bike with like drill batteries. And then I know at the Muskegon event, we had the ZSR Solar, these guys that are converting golf carts by putting a solar panel on top. There's
cool.
always something different. You never know what's going to show up. We had a dragster one year, an electric dragster that was put together by Muskegon Community College. So yeah, that's a great point, Larry.
And I wanted to, at the first one we talked about, where there's other cars. Well, I was kind of wondering what it'd be like, but I found that the car people aren't necessarily tribal. They were just happy to have car enthusiasts of any sort. And so it was really welcoming and everybody's cool. So I really was
at the Gilmore. Yeah, it's always been fun.
Yeah, agreed. It's funny with at the 28th Street Metro, the first year I was there, there was a little bit of negativity from, the big block V8 people. But what was funny then is you'd see the families come over and you'd see the kind of hardcore, ice heads, the internal combustion engine. They like walking past it, and then their kids would come over and say, "Look, Dad, there's a Tesla." Right. So you get that new generation that wants to see that stuff. So it's a good, you got to have an open mind. You're always going to get some remarks, but you're going to get a lot of intelligent questions too. I mean, people, that's the whole point is this is a paradigm shift, and we want to help people figure this out.
Saturday, the 23rd of September, in pretty close to downtown Kalamazoo at the Fresh Market, local grocery store parking lot, we'll have our traditional bigger EV show, probably some ride and drives from 10 a.m. till 3 in the afternoon. And that's always a good show. Again, weather dependent. It's outdoors, no rain date. Some services nearby, including the grocery store with its own little coffee shop.
And you had a school bus one year.
Last
right?
year we had the electric school bus, and I'm hoping to get a repeat on that, and probably the solar car racing team from Western Michigan University. They usually are able to come. So yeah, should be a good time on Saturday as well, if we can manage it.
Yep.
It's a great location too. I really like that spot.
Yeah. And it's
always a fun turnout. The bus was so cool, and he gave rides. So really interesting.
And if you're in the eastern part of the state, Ann Arbor is having their National Drive Electric Week. So again, you can look that up. I'll have the links, but it's driveelectricweek.org, and then there's a link for attend, and you can find a map with all those. But yeah, the 23rd is Ann Arbor, and then Paul, you
The
mentioned on the
28th,
28th, Portage District Library.
Thursday night of
Tell us
Drive
about that.
Electric Week. Steve Grieve, one of our members, will give a presentation, and he's calling it "Is an Electric Car Right for Me?" And he's going to be talking at the Portage District Library down on Westnedge in one of their community rooms. And he's advertising that for a 7 p.m. start, 1 hour time slot, Thursday, September 28th.
Sounds good. Is there any kind of EV display along with that, or just basically the talk?
Just the talk.
Okay.
His car might be there.
Okay.
My car might be there, but
Understood. And then the following weekend in Grand Rapids is the show that I'm organizing at the Cascade Mire on 28th Street. So that usually ends up being pretty big. We tend to have 40, 50 cars. We're going in a slightly different location. We used to set up near the Tesla supercharger, but we found that that's kind of the back of the parking lot, and we're trying to engage some of the folks that are actually coming into the store. And this is all cleared with Meyer. We got the parking lot permit, so we're going to be closer to the east side of the parking lot near the Home and Garden Center and that sort of thing. So we don't want to disrupt anything, but at the same time, if there's natural flow of people, we want to be able to engage them if they are interested. So that should be a good one. And for me, that was the first time I saw an electric motorcycle. Tony, who was my Tesla mechanic, all of a sudden showed up in a Zero, and my mind was blown. And it wasn't a year later that I had my own. So yeah, you always see something new.
Orange pilled you into motorcycles, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and in fact, I think at the last event for Earth Day, we had the folks from Boondocks Motorsports, who are the local Zero dealer in Caledonia. They came out, the owner came out with a couple of the staff and brought some of their new motorcycles. So yeah, it's always something new. Kia came and was doing ride and drives, and I believe Ken Mole, the guy who brought them last time, was going to reach out to them again. So we may have some ride and drives, so that would be cool. And then
is this the same Myers that we were at earlier spring? Is that the same one?
Yeah, 28th Street. It's the one with the superchargers on the east side of town, near the airport.
And then, okay, so what's the date of this one you were just talking
That's
about?
the 30th, Saturday, September 30th.
week after Kalamazoo.
Yep, exactly. We try to stagger so that I can make it to Kalamazoo, and so we can all attend lots of these events if we can, spread them out. And then the following day, the East Michigan chapter of the Electric Vehicle Association, Bruce Westlake, is running the East Lansing National Drive Electric Week event. So that's going to be at the Meyer in East Lansing on West Lake Lansing Road. And I do expect, again, we'll have a booth there. Bruce tends to attract a good crowd there as well. And I think that's all the events that I can think of.
Long time.
Yeah.
When Carl and I started, I mean, not Carl, but when I first joined Paul with Green Earth, Michigan, and then Bruce would come down and get us kind of connected.
And then Paul and I split off, and we made a second groups. So yeah, so we could engage some of the folks on the west side. Not that you weren't engaged in before, but logistically, it's a little more challenging to get all over the state. I think that's it for National Drive Electric Week in this area. Obviously, in your area, again, check driveelectricweek.org and look at the attend and sign up for the events if you can. Each of the events has a registration button. It's non-binding, but if you want to come out and just see the cars, or if you have a vehicle to show, it makes it very helpful for the organizers to know who's coming. We like to get a different diversity of vehicles. Sometimes, some of us have multiple EVs, so then the organizer can say, hey, can you bring this car and not that car, so that, we get some diversity of vehicles. That's right. Yeah, and I think that's it for that. And then October, there's lots of stuff going on too. I'm not going to go into all of it, but the one that I wanted to highlight is the Tesla Michigan group is having a Tunnel of Trees tour. So if you're familiar with northern Michigan, the Tunnel of Trees is between Mackinac City and is it Cross Village, I believe. So there's a beautiful area where we typically meet up in Mackinac City at the supercharger. There's a little restaurant right across the street. We have a meal, and then we all caravan through the tunnel of trees, hopefully during the foliage. And I'm sure there will be some more foliage events, so stay tuned. I'll also put the link to the West Michigan EV Facebook group and Kiva and the EVA. So however you want to get engaged, come out and join us. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes we engage with non-EV folks. Sometimes it's, EV folks meet up, talk about, all kinds of things, modifications to the vehicles, who's done conversions, what are the newest vehicles that are coming out, that sort of thing. Usually a lot of fun. All right. Well, thanks for your time. And for those of you listening and watching, please come out. These are a lot of fun. And before we all kind of go to sleep here in Michigan and hunker down for the winter, and then going to kind of plan again for Earth Month.
Hope to see you in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
We'll see you guys. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed or learned from this episode of Zero E Michigan, please subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Visit our YouTube channel for other related videos at youtube.com/@0E-Michigan.